Hey guys, so yeah, I do apologize if I sound a little blah at times like that. I'm just getting over a little bit of a allergies, cold, some kind of a bug, if you will. You know how it is when, spring really starts to come in and you feel a little bit of that heat to give you an indication of what summer might be like in a few months. Basically that, that's what it is. So I'm getting over that, drinking some drinking some hot chicken soup, eating and drinking some hot chicken soup, actually swallowing some honey and taking some cough drops and everything. So it's helping out, and I'm also sweating it out as well because I was going doing things today. I was taking out the garbage and stuff and spraying the perimeter of the house with some Raid. And also took a hot shower this morning, so that kind of helped out a little bit. But with that said, I wanted to come on here, give you my thoughts on WrestleMania, since WrestleMania is this upcoming Saturday. This is the go-home week, if you will. And I know some people feel like it doesn't feel like it's WrestleMania and all that, and that's fine. You're going to have some of those off years to where basically it doesn't feel like it should, be what it should be because of reasonings. But then again, it might surprise you. It's like that old saying, never judge a book by its cover. Never judge a book by its cover. So basically, I think this is going to be a good WrestleMania. But what's interesting about it, though, is it falls on Easter weekend. Yeah, today was Palm Sunday. Next weekend is Easter weekend. Next Sunday, a week from today, is Easter Sunday or Resurrection Sunday. That's going to be interesting for a lot of folks that are going to be attending that event. Now obviously, if families and friends are attending it, they obviously want to say, okay, let's spend Easter break, Easter vacation, in Vegas, and also attend WrestleMania at the same time. So maybe they planned around it, maybe they didn't. But yeah, it's going to be a long, like one guy, Marked by Wrestling, who's doing a collab with Just Alex and A&B Combos Wrestling Edition, or A&B Convos Wrestling Edition. Marked by Wrestling Steven and Just Alex and A&B Convos Wrestling Edition. Basically, like he said, it's going to be a long day, and it's one reason that he hates the kind of like the pushing back of the scheduling, because this is the latest, as far as we know, that WrestleMania has happened, period, I think, in its history. Usually they try to get it at the end of March, beginning of April, but they're hitting like that midway point now because, they don't want to, I guess they don't want to interfere with, the beginning of the baseball season, or they don't want to interfere with, the NCAA tournament and the Final Four. So yeah, it kind of makes things a little awkward, and I think they're doing it again next year, but hopefully next year Easter doesn't fall around the same time. But if it does, maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe they realize, hey, we can get a lot of people in here if it's Easter weekend. But yeah, that's a different kind of mindset, if you will. Also, I want to say this, that if you go to YouTube search, if you go to search on YouTube, you go to EarthCam, you type in EarthCam, you type in Allegiant Stadium, you can get a live view of Allegiant Stadium. And I'm thinking about doing this because right now when you go to Allegiant Stadium's EarthCam YouTube page, or YouTube channel, basically they will show you the advertisements on the LED screens, like their signage outside of the stadium and on the stadium of what's to come and everything. And once every 5 minutes or so they'll show the WrestleMania one. So I'm thinking, why not go there on Saturday at least, because I'm going to be busy with family on Sunday, but go there on Saturday at least and see how quickly or how soon it starts filling up and everything, if you know what I mean. So basically, to me, that's something I'm thinking about, and I suggest maybe you guys could think about as well. But getting on with the card itself, these are just predictions. We know it's going to be 7 matches each night. One other match will be added. That's Randy Orton's match. Whether it's against Nick Aldis, solo, or mystery opponent, we will find out. But here we have the card. Obviously, if the triple threat on night 1 is going to close out night 1, then the world title match to me is going to open up the show. It makes the most obvious sense. So with that said, let's look over the card here. Night 1, we have 7 matches, so let's go over them and I'll give you my thoughts. We have Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. This one, to me, it's really interesting because people have felt like they didn't really get things started off well on the right foot with Charlotte and Tiffany. I mean, it was obvious when Charlotte won that that was going to be the direction they were going in. But obviously, it's like it's like the verbal promo exchange chemistry, if you will, is not there. But the in-ring work, maybe, we'll see. But there's obviously a lot of real-life heat, animosity, and everything on them. Basically, I guess it came to a head on Friday, in story and work shoot-wise. Because work shoot-wise, they had Charlotte attack Tiffany on the outside when she was coming out of her car, when she was arriving at the arena. And then she had her attack her after her match with Roxanne. So to me, it's like, you know, obviously you're going to see, you know, I mean, they're going to try to be professional. I'm sure Triple H and others are going to go over with them to try to be professional, because there was disciplinary action given to them, whether you believe that or not, for going off script last week, and of course what happened this past Friday. So to me, I think honestly you're going to get a little bit of scrappiness, catfightiness in there, but hopefully, you know, they go over with them to be professional enough to be like, hey, you know, go out there, put on a good match, try to be professionals, don't get so, you know, scrappy with each other and all that, and we should be okay. But the question is, who's going to win in the end? Well, all signs point to obviously Charlotte getting number 15. You have BC Amplified thinking she's going to get screwed and everything. But I'm going to go with Tiffany Stratton. I think this is going to be a coming out party for Tiffany. Tiffany obviously is younger. She has more value right now. And Charlotte losing is not going to hurt her, because we know she's going to get number 15 this year no matter what. And she might get it at Backlash against Tiffany, but we'll see. But I'm going to go with Tiffany Stratton. But I don't think she's going to win straight up with her prettiest moonsault ever. I think she's going to probably eke out a win, like with a roll-up and all that, or a sunset flip or something. And then that's how she walks out with the championship. Then next up, we have the other world title match, which I think is going to open night one. Gunther and Jey Uso. This is going to be a good match. Definitely a difference of styles between the two. And I'm going to go with Jey Uso winning. I know people are thinking Gunther is going to win because he lost last year and everything. But I think the story they're telling with Gunther is he does not want to have any one-on-one matches with the likes of Jey Uso, just like he didn't want to have a one-on-one match with Sami last year, because he knows that, you know, on the biggest stage of them all, WrestleMania, these are the kind of guys that will bring the fight to him and eventually win. And that's what happened last year. And I think the story they're telling with him, very undercover story, is it's not that he thinks Jey is beneath him. It's the fact that he is afraid Jey's going to do to him what Sami did, and that's beat him for the title. So I'm going to go with Jey Uso, and that's going to be a huge sight with everybody yeeting. And he is over. If you don't believe me, Pat McAfee had a sumo-like special event on ESPN or something like that about a week ago, and everybody in that arena was yeeting with him. So don't be surprised if we have Jey Uso winning the championship and all of Allegiant Stadium yeeting with him. Then we have Jade Cargill against Naomi. Very historic match because it's the first all-female black match at WrestleMania. That's not for a title, but the storyline definitely amplifies it to be worthy of being on WrestleMania. A lot of people are going to go with Jade. I got to go with Jade because it's obvious they want to, you know, make her a big star, big deal in the women's division. But people are going with Naomi, saying you're building her up this way, so why waste it? And I do agree that going with Naomi, especially with what she's doing now, is the better choice. But I'm going to go with Jade because I think what's going to happen is she's going to beat her, and then she's going to want to beat her up some more until the point that Naomi just screams out, I did it because Bianca told me to. You know, because remember, she said she did it for Bianca. I think what's going to happen is after Jade wins, she's going to want to torture Naomi more, and Naomi's just going to finally admit that Bianca told her to do it because she looks at Jade as a wannabe. You know, so that would be interesting. That would be interesting, in my opinion, if they do it that way, because then that reflects onto the following night, you know, with Bianca, and then the revelation, and then you could just have Bianca play into it like, yeah, I did have her do it, because nobody is going to take my spotlight, and I don't need to be babysitting an EST wannabe. So, you know, that was only brought into this business because the competition wanted their version of me. So I think that's what I'm thinking that may happen. Not saying it will, but I'm still going to go with Jade to retain. Then we have the War Raiders against the New Day for the tag team titles, the World Tag Team Championships. This will be good. I can't really. I can't really say who's going to come out on top. But right now, you got a lot of momentum with the New Day. But I'm going to go with the War Raiders because I'm thinking what's going to happen is Big E's going to come out, make it look like he's going to help them, but then in the end, screw him over, and then reveal he's been cleared by hitting both of them with a double big ending. And then the result of that 2 nights later will be them on Raw after Mania going like, oh, Big E, man, we're so sorry, man. We shouldn't have acted mean to you. We were just upset with ourselves. Yeah, we just didn't want to admit it because, you know, if we admitted it, it makes us look like we're weak. You know, so I could see something like that happening, maybe. But I'm going to go with the War Raiders winning here, but not clean, but thanks to the distraction by Big E. Then we have LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. Everybody's saying Jacob Fatu is going to win. I'm going to go with Jacob Fatu as well, but I think if LA Knight wins, it's going to be because of Solo. So if LA Knight wins, it won't be clean. It'll be because of miscommunication between Solo and Jacob. But if they don't do that, I'm going to go with Jacob with a win, if not a dominant win in the end. Then we have Rey Mysterio against El Grande Americano, a.k.a. Chad Gable. You know, A and B combos and Marked by Wrestling all say El Grande, Chad Gable. Just Alex went with Rey Mysterio. I'm going to go with Rey Mysterio because he's been pretty much on the butt end of all this and everything. Pretty much been on the losing end, not just in the ring, but, you know, outside of it. So I'm going to go with Rey Mysterio, and during the match what's going to happen is the mask is going to get ripped off. Like when El Grande tries to cheat, Rey will grab the mask and rip off, reveal it to Chad, and then and this will cause Chad to get distracted, lose the match, and then the follow-up will be Adam Pearce wondering why are you doing this, and then we'll finally find out that Chad just wants another shot at the Intercontinental Championship. Sorry about that, I was getting limited there. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to go with Rey Mysterio because, like I said, I think what's going to happen is Chad, he's going to try to, as El Grande that is, you know, he's going to try to roll up Rey, try to hit him, try to, like, you know, hold the tights and everything, or try to do something to where it's going to allow Rey to grab the mask, and the mask is going to come off, it's going to reveal it to Chad. That's going to distract him enough to basically allow Rey to get the win in the end and everything, and then that's going to result later on with Adam Pearce confronting him, and then Chad's just going to reveal that he did this because he is tired of, basically he's not only tired, sick and tired of the luchadors always getting the spotlight, but that he's upset that Adam Pearce will not give him another shot at the Intercontinental Championship, and that's what it's going to be. That's what this is going to end up being in the end, should they book Chad Gable as El Grande Americano to lose against Rey at WrestleMania Saturday, that he's just doing this because, one, he's sick and tired of the luchadors taking his spotlight and his opportunities that he believes he deserves, but also the fact that he wants one more shot at the Intercontinental title, and that his plan was that as El Grande Americano, he would get that shot, and Adam Pearce wouldn't know it's him, and then he'd win the title and all that. Because I think what storyline-wise this is leading towards is if they go with Gunther retaining, but he loses, like Gunther walks out, gets counted out and all that, you know, and then they go with Rey beating El Grande, you know, Chad. Basically it'll be Chad saying he wants one more shot at the title so he could be the rightful #1 contender as Intercontinental Champion to the world title, and he can get his revenge against Gunther, because that obviously is what it's leading towards, in my opinion. But I'm going to go with Rey Mysterio to win. And then we got Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins triple threat to close out night 1. You know, a lot of people are thinking, well, Roman Reigns is going to win, prove he doesn't need the wise man and all that. But you got CM Punk, whose favorite was to have Paul Heyman in his corner, because that was the I guess you could say, promise that he made years ago, that when he ever main evented WrestleMania, he would be in his corner. So there you go. And you got Seth Rollins in there. This is going to be a good match, there's no doubt. Storytelling wise, it will be a great match and everything. And in the end, I think that, you know, to me, if they put Roman over, it proves he doesn't need the wise man to win, because he just has to be himself. But I'm going to go with CM Punk. Now, some are saying go with Seth Rollins because he's the third wheel out and he shouldn't really be there. But Seth has history with both and everything, and I think the history has more so with Roman based on what's happened between the two. That's what's going to cancel those two out. It's going to give Punk the win, you know, and, you know, he's going to walk out victorious as, you know, the winner of the triple threat and the winner of his first main event at WrestleMania. So yeah, basically, I'm going to go with Punk to win because I think Roman and Reigns, not Roman, but Rollins and Reigns, I think, are going to cancel each other out. Then, we get to night 2. We get to night 2 here, and obviously Cody and John Cena are going to close out the show. But we have 6 matches right now. We're going to obviously get a 7th match, and I think I'm going to go right now. I'm going to talk about that right now. Randy Orton against a mystery opponent. If Randy takes on Solo Sikoa, I'm going to go with Randy, because that'll all be based on what happens on night 1 with Solo and Jacob, if Solo costs Jacob the U.S. Championship against LA Knight or not. So I'm going to go with Randy over Solo. And if it's not Solo and it's Nick Aldis, I'm going to go with Nick Aldis getting the surprise win. Yeah, I'm going to go with Aldis getting the surprise win over Randy. And then Nick will basically we'll use that to gloat to Randy, say, I didn't have to use anything like an RKO to beat you. I just beat you because I was the better wrestler. And all I'm asking from you is an apology and a promise not, to do, certain things that you've done before, or whatever the case may be. So I'm going to go with Nick Aldis. Sorry about that and everything, guys. But like I said, it all depends on what happens. Like I said, if it's Aldis, if it's Aldis as Randy's opponent, then I'm going to go with Aldis winning, surprising Randy with a roll-up or something, showing that, hey, I beat you and everything. And if you don't want me to not ensure you don't get any future matches or title shots, you got to apologize, and there we go. So I'll go with Aldis if he's the opponent of Randy. And if it's not Aldis, and it's somebody different, I don't know. But if it's Malachi Black, I'm going with Malachi. Because he's new, he's returning, you want to make him a big-time deal again, I'm going to go with him. And if it's not him, and it's Rusev, Miro, that's going to be, I'll go with him as well. So, Randy if it's Solo, or everybody else if it's not Solo. So, now, continuing on with the rest of night 2, Io Sky, Bianca, and Rhea. I'm going to go, because again, I believe what's going to happen with Jade and Naomi is Jade's going to win. She's going to then want to further torture Naomi, and Naomi, I should say, in my opinion, is going to reveal that it was Bianca that told her to do it and everything, and then people will know about that. People will boo Bianca. Bianca will just embrace it, like, yeah, I told her to do it, because I'm not about to babysit a wannabe EST, someone that the other company brought in because they want their own version of me and all that, So I could see, Jade coming in, knowing that Bianca was behind it, and costing Bianca this match, and thus giving Bianca her first loss at WrestleMania. So, but the question is, who walks out champion outside of Bianca? I'm gonna go with Io Sky, because the way they're building it up is that Rhea and Bianca they'll just basically focus more on each other than Io. Like, she's insignificant, and it takes Io to basically, attack them from behind with drop kicks or whatever to remind them, I'm champion. I'm the one you got to beat to take this. So I'm going to go with Io Sky, because I think, if the Jade thing doesn't happen, which I believe and feel it's going to in some capacity, it's going to throw Rhea off, and I think Rhea is going to lose to Io. But I don't think it's going to turn Rhea heel. I think Rhea is just going to accept the fact that, okay, there's certain individuals I can and can't beat, and Io's one of them that basically she's got a combination I can't solve. So I'm going to go with Io Sky. Then we got AJ Styles against Logan Paul. They had Logan Paul debut a new finisher of his to his repertoire. And everybody's saying, and I'm sure everybody's saying, well, Logan's got this new show with his family and everything on Max, and they're going to want to push that and everything, and that's true. So they would give it to Logan Paul. I wouldn't be surprised if they do, but I don't think that's going to be a very popular choice. So I'm going to go with AJ Styles, and I think it's going to basically it's going to come down to Logan's going to get arrogant and everything, and AJ's going to catch him by surprise. And it's going to be a miscommunication between Logan and his crew, because as we have seen throughout the past couple of WrestleManias, Logan's always had his crew at ringside. So obviously that's going to, come back to bite him in the end. And I'm going to go with AJ Styles to win. Then we got Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defending the women's tag team titles against Bayley and the women's Intercontinental Champion Lyra Valkyria, I should say. Valkyria, whatever you call it. Against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. who's the Women's Intercontinental Champion, that being Lyra. To me, this will be a decent match. I know people would say this is more like a Raw match and everything, or Saturday Night's main event. That is true. But I think it's going to be a good match. And I'm going to go with Liv and Raquel to retain. You just got the belts on them. And you don't want to boggle Lyra down too much with 2 championships. So I'm going to go with Liv and Raquel to retain. And I think we're going to get a heel turn, but it's not going to be from who you think it's going to be. Because a lot of people thinking it's going to be Bayley. And that might happen. But you got to remember, we're in Las Vegas. Though in Las Vegas, it's right next door to California, which is right next door to where Bayley lives. Well, not totally next door, but it's in the same western region. You get the idea, right? So I'm going to go with Liv and Raquel winning, and we're going to get a heel turn, and it's going to be Lyra Valkyria. And that is going to set up the return of Becky Lynch. Guaranteed. You don't believe me? It's going to happen. So I'm going to go with Bayley and Lyra Valkyria losing, Lyra turning heel, which will be a first for her, and that's going to lead to Becky Lynch coming back and maybe coming to the rescue of Bayley to save her from the beatdown. So I'm going to go with Liv and Raquel retaining. And then we have the fatal 4-way for the Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio. This is going to be interesting. Because I know a lot of people are thinking Penta, he's hot, he's new, he's fresh off of AEW, sort of. And Triple H wants to do everything in his power to basically rub it in Tony Khan's face of, hey, I can book this guy better than you. So I know a lot of people thinking that will go with Penta, but I think it's too soon. And Braun Breaker, right now he's on that fast track to that world title, that WWE title. He's on that fast track. The way he's being presented, he's basically the Goldberg right now, the Goldberg-ish, if you will. He's being presented as a Goldberg-ish entity. And Finn Balor and Dominic, obviously this is the implosion of Judgment Day as we know it. But the question is, who wins? Well, a lot of people would say Penta. He's, like I said, he's fresh, he's new. Triple H would want to rub it in Tony Khan's face by putting the belt on him, and that would work. Don't get me wrong. But Finn Balor, he hasn't been champion in a while, so I think, well, he has been champion, tag team champion, but not singles-wise. So I would go, so I know people would say it's Finn's time to get a singles gold again. That might be true. But I'm going to go with the one that people are thinking, oh, storyline-wise, heat-wise, this will work. This will work. Because storyline-wise, you can write it up to where he will come up with every excuse he can not to defend the title so he can have a long title reign. And that is Dominic Mysterio. I'm going to go with Dirty Dom to win the Intercontinental Championship, and in storyline-wise, do everything in his power, along with Liv, not to defend the championship. I know that's what they're going to do. So I'm going to go with Dominic Mysterio to become champion. But you know what's going to be crazy? Though? I know that storyline-wise and heat-wise, that's going to work. Just based on what I'm describing, they potentially could do with Dom as champion. But can you imagine what happens if Allegiant Stadium, instead of booing and maybe throwing stuff in the ring, which they probably won't, but booing and everything, imagine Allegiant Stadium popping, literally popping for a Dominic win. Imagine that. Instead of booing and being upset, they actually cheer and are happy that Dom is now a big-time champion in WWE. That, to me, would be a huge surprise. And you know what? You could slowly use that to turn him face, but keep him as Dirty Dom, but as the new incarnation of what Eddie was, in the past. Like, he would lie, cheat, and steal, but he was a babyface. Dom could take on that persona. To me, it would work. And that would be all based on the reaction, the positive reaction he would get should he walk out Intercontinental Champion at WrestleMania. And don't put it past Triple H not to do it. Then we have Damian Priest against Drew McIntyre. Excuse me. Told you I was getting over a cough. But we have Damian Priest against Drew McIntyre, Sin City Street Fight. Obviously, you have to have a hardcore match in there, just like we did last year with the Philadelphia Street Fight. Between the Pride and the Final Testament. So here it's Damian and Drew one-on-one. This will be a violent match. I'm not going to say it won't. And yes, I do expect barbed wire and thumbtacks to be used. And I do expect both men to bleed. So that's just me. That's just me. So the question is, who goes over? I'm going to go with Damian Priest. I know Drew needs it more than anything. But if you really want to send Drew over that edge, storyline-wise, at the fact that Damian among others have taken everything away from him, it's the way to do it. Put him over in the street fight. Put him over in the street fight. So I'm going to go with Damian Priest to win. Then we got Cody Rhodes, John Cena for the Undisputed WWE Championship. That one to me is interesting because a lot of people are feeling they're going to go with the 17th title reign at WrestleMania, which I wouldn't be against. It makes things interesting storyline wise. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to have Cody win. And as I've said before, I think, my opinion, I think it's going to get revealed that that John Cena let Cody in back in October, let Cody in on what was going on, and Cody told him, play along. Make Rock think he's won, he's got a step ahead of me, and then when the time is right, bam! We revealed to him that he's been duped, outsmarted, and that maybe he should just leave well enough alone. And you know what I think is going to lead to for Rock if they do this? It's going to lead to him coming out the next night, realizing, okay, I'm sick and tired of being outsmarted. I'm going to take a page out of the playbook of me and John's from back in, 2011 after WrestleMania. And he's going to take that play out of that playbook and say, I'm booking me and Roman a year in advance for WrestleMania 42 in ceremonial tribal combat. And that's going to close out WrestleMania. I think that might be happening. Because I'm going to go with Cody winning. I don't think they're going to want to have another part-time champion and all that. And if you want to give John his 17th title, do it in a way to where he's the babyface and he does it over someone that fans want to see get the comeuppance. So I'm going to go with Cody. I think it's going to be a great match storytelling-wise. It will be violent too. You will see some blood. But I'm going to go with Cody Rhodes winning. Just based on what I believe potentially could happen. I could be wrong, but we'll see what happens. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys, on everything I've had to say here. Who do you think is walking out of WrestleMania? The winners and champions? Let me know down in the comment section. Love to hear from each and every one of you guys. Do all the things in the description. And until then,